How about it for J.L. Cauvin, everybody?
Hello, good to be back.
Yeah, good to see you, sir.
Yeah,
Wow.
I figured, I was booked a few days ago, and I said, well, some national tragedy has to come to put a damper on this. But unlike the president, I won't spend my time on the show blaming things because I'm just bitter that, what he's afraid of. I'm sorry to jump right into the hot takiness.
Please, jump.
First of all, I feel like DEI is the new, they're going to rape your daughters. And if I can explain that, it's like this idea of like, okay, nobody really believes that 1870s Jim Crow racist dog whistle. So now it's just going to be every problem is related to people of color or women taking your white man job, which is part of your identity, like what you do for your job and feed your family. It's there as part of your identity. So it's now this sort of incredible over application of DEI, where if we had a sense of humor and we could look at this emperor with, no clothes on, we'd all laugh at him and go, you sound ridiculous. But there's enough people who want this message who eat it up. It's a terrible thing. And I said today in a video I posted a couple hours ago, I said, this is a guy who, if he were president on 9/11, he would be complaining about woke flight attendants in between plane crashes. I think he's that self-centered, and he has the kind of mindset, I think, of almost a serial killer. Like, I think somewhere in his past, he has definitely harmed animals, because there is this kind of inability to even fake empathy. Like it's sort of interesting if it wasn't so dangerous, but like, he can't even fake it. He can't, like, I remember during Charlottesville, I thought to myself, oh no, this is such an easy one. This is such a layup. And the Van Joneses of the world are gearing up with their "he became president today" takes when he denounces racists with tiki torches saying anti-Semitic things. The easiest thing in the world. And he couldn't. He couldn't. And I remember hearing Joe Rogan say, he was so mad because if you look at the full context of the quote, they really took it out of context. He was just saying not that the tiki torch guys were good, but that on this protest, there were good people on both sides. And if you take that, I ask, oh, you mean not the tiki torches, but just the people who wanted to preserve racist statues put up during an era of racial terror in the South? Just them. They're good people. They're just not screaming anti-Semitic chants. Those are bad people. But if you just love Jim Crow for the fun of it, Joe Rogan and company consider you a perfectly legitimate person.
Well, the pretzel logic associated with trying to justify various things that Trump has said. And there's a lot of that even with Musk. We're going to have this later, but we could actually run it now. Albert, you had the priest who, there's all that question of did Musk actually give the Sig Heil salute? And I thought it was pretty straightforward that he did. But it was, well, he's got a tic, and he's on the autism, he's Aspergery. I mean, there were all these things that were kind of farming it out to these various things so that it wasn't really what it was. Sure. And of course, there was no comment made on the part of Musk to denounce it in any way or to say, hey, you guys misunderstand. Of course I wouldn't be part of that. So this is a dude who is, I believe, an Anglican bishop, and he is a strict...
Thank goodness, as a Catholic, I can't deal with any more priest problems that I have to defend or explain. So
it's the Anglican Catholic Church, and he is from Grand Rapids, Michigan. That's where his parish is, or his congregation is.
And his outfit is from the Crucible.
He does have for those just listening, the black frocked look. He's really playing it big. And what he is known for is being super anti-abortion, anti-women's right to choose. That's his big thing. He carries that torch. And here he is in his final remarks. This is very short. It's only about 20 seconds, giving the same salute as Elon Musk. Go ahead, Albert.
This is the last stand for Christendom. It's make or break time. The whole of the old world is crumbling. Every country in Europe is embracing death. America, as far as I could see, is the only country fighting for life. And that's down to you guys. So God bless all of you for what you're doing. Please keep doing it. I hope that I can encourage you. And my heart goes out to you. God bless.
And he does it with a smile. It's like an inside joke, like wink, wink. You know what's going on. He literally smiles. You
Well,
can
you know,
see it.
Hitler was well known to be a pro-lifer.
Yeah, once you the 6 million people that he killed, and 11 million, I think, actually, in total. Yeah.
That's one definition of life. Living people breathing and living their lives is one definition of life. I mean, that's the more narrow, I think, radical left life definition.
Ron says this, JL, I'm autistic. It is not appropriate to do a fascist salute. We know what the German fascists did to autistic people. That's a good point, too. You know,
yeah, my older nephew is autistic, and he's never even come close to a Hitler salute. So
yeah,
you know,
it's
anecdotal evidence, obviously, but I'm willing to buy that it's not
part of the training. Hi, Mark and Kim. I am Anglican. This is a chaplain, Fred, who is our as close to God as we get on this show, and I guess he's an Anglican chaplain. Apparently, he's chaplain to firefighters, by the way. Kind of interesting. So, in any case,
a lot of infidelity confessions. If I know my firefighters.
I always thought that firefighters did have the gig of gigs because I'd see the fire truck parked in front of various, they can park them anywhere, of course. And then I'd see these guys come off, they'd be getting coffee or going shopping. I saw them parked outside the Beverly Center in Los Angeles, etc. But then I realized, yeah, but dude, they're allowed to do that because they risk their lives when the going gets really rough. And so yeah, but you're right. They are beloved and sought after by most of the, yeah, I mean, and you know what I mean. So, JL, it's weird. First of all, I want to talk about your special because your new comedy special is Inauguration is my favorite N-word.
Yes.
So you do it as Trump. Give me for those who haven't seen Donald Trump, Inauguration is my favorite N-word. What is it?
It's a fully in character special where, Donald Trump, who kind of never stopped selling things. Like I actually purchased a new hat just for my sketches and stuff. It's the only time I give money to Win Red. And I've been getting texts. When I tell you I'm getting 3 to 4 texts a day for the last month, asking me to join, donate, purchase this, get this photo. It is like QVC on steroids, and he's the president and he can't run again. So it heightens the idea of it being such a grift. But I thought to myself, I wanted to do a sort of long form thing as Trump. And so what it is, and you can tell when people watch it, they're like, I think the audience was like not all in on it. And I go, yes, and it's perfect. Because it's me as Trump if Trump were really being a stand-up comedian and thought he was funny. So there's some jokes, there's some stories, there's setups that people laugh at that I go, well, no, that's just the setup. The funny part is insert cruel thing that isn't funny at all. There's like a very cliche hack bit on trans kids because that is like the currency of the realm right now with any non-woke comedian. No matter how many times the same joke about a kid identifying as a cat is told, it somehow escapes comedy credibility as hack and is fresh as the day, as anything. Things like that. So I just wanted it almost as a challenge because I'm kind of so proficient at the insight and the impression. So it's fun to me. It's like when people laugh, it's great. And when people are like really in an uncomfortable space, it's funny too, because it works. It's really more of a meta special without being too kind of hoity toity about it. And Mitch McConnell introduces him. And on my Patreon, I put Mitch McConnell's full set on his MC set on my Patreon. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And it was a good sort of showcase, but also doing something different with it that kind of, made me happy. Sometimes it's also for me.
Well, no, what you do,
And the title highlights both the racism and the stupidity. I thought
Yeah.
that's why I really liked the title I came up
what
with.
you do is you really, it's a remarkable thing how you riff, and I've noted this before, but I'll just again, you riff as Trump. Now, obviously, in your stand-up special, you have a prescribed strategy to get from here to there, comedically and all the rest, and from a performance standpoint. But your riffs as Trump just are. They're unreal. I mean, they'll go, your typical shorts are maybe 3 minutes or whatever it is. And then I've seen shorter ones, of course, in different reels or et cetera. But that's a kind of a stream of consciousness thing, right? You get into that character and somehow you find the funny.
Yeah. And the challenge with the special that I gave myself was that I really wanted to stick more to a kind of somewhat rigorous set list while giving myself obviously room, because I could get up and talk for 45 minutes as him and it would be funny and it would be kind of what people expect. I wanted this to be a little bit more of a disciplined performance of like, no, what if Trump were doing stand-up comedy? Not what if I'm doing a joke as Trump, but like, what if it were Trump himself? So yeah, it was a lot of fun and the response has been very good to it. So I'm hoping, obviously, some people have said, I really don't want to watch the man anymore. And I get that. But I certainly don't really take care or respect with the man.
No, it's a great. I mean, and I think the mockery associated with Donald Trump that JL does is exactly what you want. I mean, and we get a lot of it on this show. Please don't put Trump in the thumbnail for the show. Please don't play any of his press conference. I don't want to hear any of his inauguration comments. I get it, and I try to, be very careful and considerate about how much we play and whatever, because there are so many people who feel that way. On the other hand, he is president and he's turning the country on its side. Yeah. I'm not going to ignore him, nor should we avoid the kind of mockery and humor that I think you do so well. I mean, I think that's one of the best ways to skewer him.
Yeah, he's, but man, it's watching what's going on right now. You're just sort of like, I mean, how is anybody surprised? How is anybody? And I've said, and I get that this comes from a place of privilege, but I really do partly believe that the only cure to Trump, I wrote a joke recently, which was like, we had all the vaccines for Trump, the Justice Department, impeachment, the election, but we've decided we need to go natural immunity, apparently, with Trump. So much like Bobby F. Kennedy, we need Trump to go wild and on democracy. And then people might see. And the sad thing with that solution is that a lot of people are going to get hurt. A lot of people will have their lives ruined or worse. But I don't think this country at this point, with the lack of attention, the navel gazing into our smartphones, the sort of ease with which we both sides things to a ridiculous level, and that people can tell me that, like, Kamala Harris, nobody voted for her in a primary, so therefore you'll elect by the way, Trump in blackface. Nobody's talking about that either. That is an offensive amount of bronzer. That is actually, he is going as Aladdin to this year's press conference.
He did crank up the bronzer to 10 on this press conference.
Oh my goodness. Right. Yeah. But it's I do partly believe that the only way America will learn, in a way, because all we did, like I don't know if I said this the last time I was on, but with Miles Taylor, all the deep state people, all the people who were, he wrote that anonymous column saying, we're taking orders away from him, we're not letting him do this or that. And I thought, that's bad. Like that's bad constitutionally. And it somehow made Trump seem less harmful than he is. And now the counter to this is January 6th should have been all we needed, because that was pretty much one of the worst things ever in this country. Yeah. And it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. So I don't know if it just, you need to, realize that climate change, burning up your fields and your kids being on opioids and your family going bankrupt and not being able to afford any groceries, et cetera, is what's needed until people go, hey, maybe Trump isn't that good. But I don't know, it'll just make the Trump movement feel, I think, somewhat palatable or manageable if we don't get the full. So it'll live on in various forms if we don't get a sort of unadulterated, pure fentanyl level of Trump.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you put it that way, because it is the case that, there were those in his first term who were saying, as long as the economy is more or less okay, this guy probably is going to get a second term. And then COVID hit, and you realize the chaos that had been part of the first couple of years of the administration was played out with the pandemic, where, he'd already destroyed the plan to how to handle a pandemic. And, he put to the sort of pro forma, theater of people together that were going to be the guys handling the pandemic, when, of course, they had nothing to do with it. There was actually a shadow group led by Kushner that was handling, and it was involving a lot of payouts and handouts, and there was a Hunger Games about getting PPE and other stuff. I mean, the states had to fight between them. So
Russia got some, though. Let's not forget, Russia, our 51st state, did get PPE from Trump. So it wasn't all bad.
Somebody asked, how do we see the Spears? Robert says, how do we see the special? I don't know if you can answer that question, JL.
It's on YouTube. It's free. It's on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/JL Cauvin. I think I gave the link directly to the special, maybe to Kim, I believe, in an email.
So we'll put the link to the special under this video, okay,
Great.
to make it easy.
Thank
I
you.
always feel like I get the in Cauvin, but I don't get the van in Cauvin.
Oh, that's okay. No, as long as you don't put an L. A lot of people want to just put in an L or an H. I was getting called Chauvin a lot during the pandemic, and I go, nope, I just do comedy. He killed somebody. But that would explain why my ticket sales were mediocre. It's like, wait, Derek Chauvin is performing here? Have some class, Pittsburgh Improv.
But is it Cauvin?
Yes.
Okay, Cauvin. Okay, I got it from now on.
And if you want to be really hoity-toity to make my deceased father proud, Jean-Louis Cauvin. See, now I sound...
Of course, it's
now I sound weak
French.
And anti-American with a name so French.
What?
Look, we love our time with you. Come visit again.
Sure
as
thing.
I say, we'll have a link to the comedy special. Inauguration is my favorite N-word. And I love the premise. I haven't seen it yet. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I love the premise, and I love that you're, rigorously adhering to the premise, which is really a cool thing. That
sometimes, you just have to challenge you challenge yourself, or you'll get. I could keep doing the same thing, and it will be funny and somewhat original. But I really wanted something that could just, give me an extra pleasure rather than just punching in at the Trump impression office.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Right. I'm sure for you. Yeah. And you've got 4 years of this stuff now. Let's hope.
Yay.
Yeah, 4 years. And we look forward to more. Okay. So come visit again.
Yes,
You're
sir.
a great
Thank
friend
you.
of the show.
Great
Yeah,
voice
love it.
still. I know you still have a great voice. I love it.
Thank you, JL. I'm going to hang on to it for our next visit. JL Cauvin. How about it? See you, my friend. Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.